Writing a book is like living life. Sometimes you go to the past. You recover memories and lessons you learned. And you integrate them with gratitude. But you have to get back to the present if you don't want to get stuck. Sometimes you think of the future. What will happen? You take a deep breath, acknowledging that you don't know, and that the only way forward is to keep on going. It is only in the present that writing takes place, by integrating the past and trusting in the future. It is the same with living life. This quote came to me on the 12th October of August of this year while I was writing this book. So officially, hello, good evening, everybody. For most of us, it is evening, while, as we heard, others are joining from where they just get up in the morning. For others, it might be good day or early afternoon. First of all, I want to thank you for joining in such a busy time of the year to celebrate with me the appearance in the form of a book of my 13 years journey through experiencing, facilitating, and teaching constellations. Thank you to all the ones who are here today and don't know me at all because we never met. Thank you to everyone who is already sharing with me years of this beautiful journey. And thank you for everybody who wanted to join tonight and could not because of personal and professional commitments. You will be with us in spirit. 1 year ago, I wouldn't have even dreamt of this moment. The idea had been there, but really seemed far out of reach. I had made a poor attempt in 2022 with the result of a couple of pages, and a quite enthusiastic one in summer 2023. So let me start by sharing with you how this book finally came to happen. The enthusiastic start in 2023 was followed by some unforeseen incidents. The worst being a setback due to a herniated disc and a very painful sciatica. When you're in pain, your brain doesn't really work. I managed to continue my private and professional life, but there was no energy left for a creative project. I waited several months, hoping that it would just go away, but it didn't. So I went to the doctor. The first one told me to take painkillers, and if it didn't go away, I would need an operation. Another doctor told me that the operation was nonsense and I should have physiotherapy. Medication was not an option for me, and neither was the operation. So I went with physiotherapy, and there were some small improvements, but the pain remained. As it seemed that my body wanted to tell me something, at the end of March 2024, I asked some of my former trainees if they were open to supporting me with a constellation. Of course they were. And two of them are present today, at least one of them. I don't know if Kate is already here, but Kim is here. So what can I say? It was a mind-blowing experience. We started with representatives for myself, my sciatica nerve, and the two affected vertebrae. In a beautiful process with two more representatives that came in for what weighed heavy on me and what would bring the solution, the final message was, share your legacy in a book. This was even more amazing as it was a blind constellation, which means no one knew who or what they represented. And none of them had known about my plan to write this book. Of course, this was the final push, and I promised myself and my body that I would do it by all means. What can I say? The day after that constellation, my pain subsided. On one or other occasion, it felt coming back as a gentle reminder, but immediately left when I reassured myself, I promise, I will write this book. Well, I kept my promise, and here it is. I chose the subtitle More Than Constellations because I have experienced that constellations are the tool to connect us with the unconscious. But the true healing movement happens through following the orders of love and working in the spirit of love and reconciliation. So my aim with this book is to share with you simply and coherently my understanding of the philosophy, the perspective, and the incredible power of the orders of love and the orders of helping. And to illustrate that the transgenerational approach is much more than just doing a constellation. The book has 5 chapters. The first one starting with an interview that I had given in 2023, which beautifully gives a first impression of what constellations mean to me. The second chapter is a journey through philosophical reflections about love, reconciliation, healing, heart connection, and more. The third chapter talks about the orders of love and helping in a way that allows everyone to connect with them and understand that you might not even need a constellation if you want to live in that spirit. It also talks about love in the family system, between parents and children, and between adults. In chapter 4, I share with you my reflections about constellations. And in chapter 5, I share with you my own journey from my first encounter to becoming a facilitator and eventually a trainer and supervisor. I hope it will inspire many others to follow their path, even if they are not yet aware of its existence. Thinking about what I would read for you today, I changed my thoughts more than once, and it was not easy to decide. On the one hand, I don't want to overwhelm you. On the other hand, I don't want you to leave tonight just with bits and bytes, but with something well-rounded, something that you can take with you in these coming days of Christmas. In these coming days of an old year ending and a new one beginning. Human interaction is a mix between words and silence. So I chose to read something about the power of words and the power of silence. So make yourself comfortable. There is nothing you have to do other than to relax and to listen. And now I need my glasses. Okay. Sometimes I feel that the more we talk, the less we are really connected. When I join a group of people who meet for pleasure and a drink, usually there are no real conversations. It's just talking, because everybody feels the need to share what they have experienced. But they are often not able to listen. I observe people who chatter continuously and others who stay silent and listen or pretend to listen, or try desperately to contribute something to the entertainment every now and then. People are quick with smart sayings, advice, and suggestions without being asked, or without having listened to each other in order to understand if these suggestions are really useful and contributing to something good. There are families in which the only words spoken on a daily basis are about food, money, and duties. And in the worst case, it ends up in misunderstandings and accusations. Even in the large areas of therapy, social work, and the medical field, I can feel a development of defining people through words, and with this, creating stories and scenarios that in a first moment might give the clients something to define themselves. Still, I doubt that this will be useful in the long run. When I started working in Austria, I remember a client who was diagnosed with chronic depression. In the first session, she said, "And they told me this will not go away because it is chronic." Eventually, we discovered that the depression was connected with another family member and related to a transgenerational issue. What happens with a client who becomes fixated on the definition of chronic? People use words with different connotations depending on their own experience and stories. Words like emotions, love, trauma, ease, abuse, and more can mean different things to each one of us. And when spoken, they can create different scenarios in our mind. Of course, it is not always possible to define a word before speaking. Still, we can be aware of possible misconceptions and thus already contribute to a better understanding and calmer conversations. Whenever we use words like good and bad, right and wrong, normal or abnormal, functional or dysfunctional, healthy or toxic, or similar, it is important to become aware of how much we are biased and how easily we judge and label people, things, and situations without any complete background. And with complete, I refer to including the transgenerational family dynamic. The transgenerational approach is non-judgmental, and the above words are not part of my vocabulary. I like to say, for example, that there are no dysfunctional families. From a transgenerational perspective, every family is doing its best to maintain balance. And in that sense, every system functions as well as it can. Or let's put it with Viktor Frankl's words, an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. The words we speak to ourselves. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. This beautiful quote, which is attributed to different authors, makes us aware of how important it is to choose the words that we speak to ourselves wisely. Through the words, we create stories. These stories might be of the past or the present, like the not good enough, the lonely princess, the misunderstood, the ugly one, the victim, and so on. They might be related to the future, the one that will never be in a happy relationship, the one that will never find their life purpose, the one that will fail again and again. The stories might be about how we should or we shouldn't be to finally find happiness or to fit in. I guess many of you know these stories. I know them very well. You might say that these are just thoughts, not words. But this is exactly how it starts, with thoughts that become words. Now, you might not be able to control your thoughts as they pop up, but you can become aware of the second step, the internal words, the inner dialogue you are having with yourself, and stop the storytelling. One of my clients was under heavy medication. She was diagnosed with depression caused by highly traumatizing childhood experiences with her parents. The story that she had created through thoughts and words was, I am the problem. Fortunately, she had a loving husband who suggested therapy, which she gladly accepted. After exploring with her the family system and a bit of her family history, I asked her to take pen and paper and to write, I am the solution. She looked at me like a ghost and started trembling and shaking. It took her 10 minutes to calm down and to write this sentence in tears and with trembling hands. This was the first big step in her healing process. Let's pause here for a moment and reflect on our inner communication. Most of the people who come to me tell me about what they need to change in their life, what they need to do, and how much there is still to do to become a better version of themselves. So let me ask you, if you think and reflect, is there something in your life that you tell yourself you need to do? Something that you need to do to be more efficient or successful or be finally good enough? Take a moment and consciously say to yourself just one sentence: I need to. And continue with your own belief pattern. And then see how that feels, how your body feels, what emotions come up. Just notice. And now take this same sentence and exchange I need to with I am allowed to. And say it to yourself consciously, the same sentence. I am allowed to. How does this feel? How does your body feel? What emotions come up now? Does it still make sense? Would you still do it? Maybe yes, maybe not. Just notice. And now let's go one step further. Take the same sentence and exchange I am allowed to with I deserve to. And see what's happening. Again, just notice how your body reacts, what emotions come up. Take a moment to feel into this. If you want, you can write something down. You can take a note, or you can just stay with it. In the Gospel of John, we can read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, regardless of whether you belong to a religion or not, or if you believe at all or not, this sentence is a symbol of the power of the Word. What we speak creates something inside and outside of us. Words can bring peace, and words can bring war. Words can connect, and words can divide. Words can bring suffering, and words can bring healing. Let me share with you an article I wrote about the power of words. Words are our means of communication. Through words, we can express ourselves and connect to others. Through words, we explain, reach out, teach, ask, and answer questions. Words are powerful. Words can create, but they can also destroy. One single word spoken thoughtlessly can destroy a long-lasting friendship. It could even destroy a life. One single word spoken with care can save a life or be the start of a lifelong friendship. When I look at the news and social media, I feel inundated with thoughtlessly spoken words. Words that feel to be spoken too quickly out of rage, judgment, fear, or simply helplessness. Of course, some things have to be said and cannot be left unspoken. The question is, how do we use words in communication? The best intention, the most genuine conscience, and the most important message can lead to aggression, exclusion, and destruction. When words are chosen from a place where love is missing. Reflecting on this, I became aware that none of us, none of our children, have ever been taught the importance and the power of words. When we are children, we learn how to talk, and we learn this by imitating our family, our parents, and the world around us. When we go to school, we learn how to read and write, but we never learn about the power of words. We never learn how to really use words properly in a way that supports our peaceful living together in a community. I was thinking about how much difference it would make today if we all were taught as children to use words in a loving, respectful, acknowledging, creative, and compassionate way. For a moment, imagine how different this would be. How different would communication be between people, communities, and even countries? How would our posts on social media look like? How would newspaper articles be written? How would our politicians talk to us? And how would we talk to each other and ourselves? And this is where every one of us comes in. Which words do we choose? Do we speak from a place of love or a place of fear and rejection? Do we choose our words wisely with a conscious action, or do our words emerge from an unconscious reaction to something we have read or heard? We always wait for the world around us to change, but change starts with us. Imagine all the people choosing words wisely and from a place of love. Imagine everyone starting with ourselves. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but every change starts with a dream. I think this is the revolution we need in our time, a revolution created only through a different use of words. A conscious use of words, a uniting use of words. We would have no more excuses to blame others, because we would take responsibility for what we say and how we say it. And we could start today. It would not depend on anyone else, just on us. And it could be contagious and inspire others. Just imagine. Maybe this is a dream, but dreams can come true when there are enough who share the same dream and build it together. May you all choose your words in the spirit of love and reconciliation. Not only words are powerful, but also silence is. Writing about the importance of words, it felt essential also to honor the power of silence. When we connect deeply, we can feel that real communication happens in the moments of silence. When we use words, we use our brain. When we stop speaking, when we connect through our eyes, and when we listen, we use our senses and our heart. And this is where real communication starts. Silence is one of the things that have become rare in our modern way of living. We are continuously filled with all kinds of artificial sounds and noise around us. Music, chatter, videos, TV series, advertising, at home, in our car, at our workplaces, and in our leisure time. We are so used to connecting communication with words and speaking, and we easily forget that real communication happens in the moments of silence. Do you remember situations when you did not find the right words? Or when you could not express in words what you wanted to say? Usually that's when we start talking around in an attempt to make ourselves understood. And this leads to misunderstandings rather than to connection. Do you remember situations when your words, spoken thoughtlessly and carelessly, were just a sharp and wounded reaction caused by a feeling of being hurt and misunderstood? What would happen if we just paused for a moment in these circumstances? What if we just looked at or listened to our counterpart and before opening our mouth, just took a deep breath? Did you ever try this out? I did. And the situation that stayed most with me was a conversation with my husband. Heavy conflicts and arguments marked the first period of our now 25 years of marriage. One word would follow the other, and we were unable to communicate reasonably. With love and patience, we managed to find our way through, but still sometimes we fell back into the old patterns. One day it happened again. We were on the phone trying to defend ourselves against the other. All of a sudden I realized this would lead nowhere. And I stopped talking. I just listened, silently, breathing. And in this silence, I heard him for the first time. I heard his pain, his frustration, and his desperate attempt to make himself understood. And all of a sudden, I knew all this didn't have anything to do with me. I remember him asking, "Are you still there?" And I answered, "Yes, I'm here. And I'm listening." The whole energy had changed, and love was able to flow again. It is in silence that awareness arises. It is in silence that understanding emerges. It is in silence that we hear the unspoken, the true messages, the essential. It is this silence that connects, heals, and transforms. As this book is, of course, also about constellations, just let's have a look at words and silence in constellation. Words and silence play a crucial role in constellations. Sometimes we do not use words at all, but when we use words in the interactions between representatives, we use them wisely. Systemic language is respectful and clear. We call it healing sentences. Learning about healing sentences and their use is part of every constellation facilitator training. Although their beneficial effect goes way beyond the use in constellation. The art of applying them in a deep healing way is not only to reiterate the words in an automated repetition, but to use part of the sentence or sometimes only one single word that is the essential one for this specific moment and situation, and that touches the essence of the constellation. One single word can shift a whole dynamic. I have witnessed facilitators diligently reciting the memorized healing sentences, trying to create a change in the constellation and waiting for a shift that did not happen because the depth was missing. When we stay in our mind, which we do when we repeat something that we have memorized, we cannot go deep. On the other hand, I have witnessed facilitators sometimes not speaking at all. And you could feel the power of the field in the room. Experienced facilitators do not rush. They might even slow down or ask a too eager representative to stop speaking. They observe the effect that words have in the context of the constellation. They notice the physical or emotional reaction of the person who speaks, the person who listens, and of the other representatives. They follow the orders of love and work in the spirit of love and reconciliation. This spirit is the one guiding us to use the words that bring to the surface what was hidden, what is waiting to be seen, and what brings up a truth that eventually leads to peace and healing. Everyone in the constellation space can feel the effects of this wise and heartfelt use of words, no matter if it's their own constellation or if they participate as representatives or as observers. People who regularly join constellation workshops become aware of the power of words and feel a shift in how they communicate in their personal life. It is like they carry this awareness out into the world beyond the constellation space. Together with the short, essential healing sentences, the moments of silence are among the most powerful ones. These are the moments when I invite the representatives to look into each other's eyes without speaking. The moments when I invite them to tune into their bodies, see what natural movement comes up, and to follow that movement. The moments when the connection happens between two or more representatives, and the only sound you might hear is a tiny sobbing of someone unable to hold back their emotions. And when we come back from constellations to our own life, we can ask ourselves the following questions. And you can ask yourself while I'm reading them. Do I use my words wisely in interaction with others? Do I use my words wisely in their interaction with myself? Are my words contributing to reconciliation or to separation? Are my words contributing to my inner peace or rather to frustration? What hinders me from allowing myself to become silent? What hinders me from listening when silence speaks? And what makes it difficult for me to stay silent and refrain from explaining myself? A lot of questions, a lot of reflections. I would like to end this reading with the epilogue of the book, with the title, We Have a Choice. Viktor Frankl said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. In our advanced society, science has become our new religion, disconnecting more and more body, mind, and soul. These modern days, we start believing more in AI and the clutter of contradicting and overwhelming information than trusting our common sense and intuition. And yet, no computer, no AI, no technology, no science will ever be able to replace our heart. And I do not speak about the physical organ. I speak about the intrinsic human capacity of opening our heart to someone or something without the aim to understand or to reach a goal. The power that connects us, that allows us to connect with the soul of other human fellows. The miraculous part within us that is capable of letting go, transcending pain and trauma, and creating peace and growth where there has been war and destruction. Our heart allows us to overcome judgment, fear, rejection, hate, and separation. Constellation work and the transgenerational approach mean heart and soul connection. This is why they are so powerful. The heart and the soul do not know time and space. They go beyond, transform, and heal. It reminds me of a comment that a friend of mine has shared in 2016 after a constellation workshop. Turn on your television, read your newspapers, and look out of the windows. Has there ever been a time in the history of the world when we needed something as powerful as family constellation work as we need it now? he was right in 2016. He would be even more right 8 years later as I'm writing this book. It is not so much because of what is happening around us, but more because of how people act and react and how they deal with each other. More than ever before, we are living in a time in which we are overstuffed and overloaded with information. And the whole world is in a state of insecurity, manipulation, fear, projection, mutual condemnation, and chaos. Working with constellations supports us in returning from chaos back to an order in which we suddenly move with certainty and clarity, no longer needing or even being able to maintain our projections, judgments, and separation. We can feel a shift within us the very moment we open up, observe, trust our intuition, and realize that we are all equal. Beings sharing the same dream, to be accepted as we are, to reconcile with the past and with ourselves, to live a life that allows us to share our gifts with the world and to live together in peace. Sometimes I ask myself, what if every person on this earth did a family constellation? Would there be no more wars, no more hunger, no more people forced to leave their homes, no more hatred or violence? Well, I cannot answer this question, but one thing I know for sure. There would be much more understanding and respect for each other, a bigger mutual acceptance, and a lot more peace in this world. Constellations are one of the most powerful peace-bringing tools that I have known so far. We are peace bringers, not peacemakers. Constellations do not make anything, but they bring something. They offer a unique opportunity, giving everyone the freedom to decide if they want to take that chance or not. We all have a choice. The choice to open our heart and to connect with our human fellow beings in a way so that together we can create a world where everyone can belong, find their place, acknowledge the other one's fate, and take responsibility for their life in a balance of give and take. You already made a choice by being here today, maybe buying this book, or maybe not. Maybe it's just another book that you will put away. Maybe it can be a book that you remember or that you choose to read over and over again, ready to go on a journey of growth and healing. I wish you from my heart a good life in the spirit of love and reconciliation. Thank you so much for listening.